Let's go. Third time filming this because I was not happy with how it began. Minasan, konnichiwa. Welcome back to my channel, wherever you are in the galaxy. I hope you enjoy your stay on my channel. To start off, we have episodes 1 and 2 of Bad Batch that did come out this week. It's crazy to think that they both came out this week because it felt longer, but besides that, I've seen a lot of people comment about Crosshair's personality being bland, right? I'm going to focus on him first, and then I'm going to focus on Hunter and Omega at the end of the second half of this video. So, Crosshair has been put out as someone who's been bland, right? Because in episode 1, a lot of what he says is, why aren't you following orders? Oh, good soldiers follow orders. We should just kill the Jedi, you know, like...
There. Come on down, kid. We're here to help. No!
Crazy stuff. My theory behind this is that that wasn't his actual personality, and that's why it seems so bland. What we do know about the inhibitor chips is that they take away the personality of a clone, meaning that they lose their individuality. And you see that too when the Bad Batch, they go to Kamino.
The Separatist leadership has collapsed. The war is over.
Just like I said.
It is just like you said.
Right, and all the other clones, you know, they're like, I forgot what Tech was saying, but he said something to someone, and then he was like, move out of the way or whatever, right? Sure, as Tech said, nothing's changed to him, but what we see, since we've seen more of the clones in a different light, we know that that's not their usual reaction, considering the fact that they're kind of snippy at some points. They have great senses of humor, but not everyone, obviously, because they're all different people. But, especially in the lunch scene, yes, I'm moving on a bit to the lunch scene, where we see the whole food fight. What really stood out was the fact that no one really reacted on their own, as in when one person, well, when Wrecker threw the lunch tray after Omega, you notice that everyone gangs up together on the Bad Batch, right? The Bad Batch. And what really stuck out to me was the fact that everyone is acting in unison, as in the regs. They act in unison and not on their own accord, as in they're a mass of one. Sure, that is akin to clones, but what we do notice is that they don't seem to have much of a reaction besides anger and hostility. And what we do know about the inhibitor chips is that it causes clones to become hostile, much more so than before, as well as in less empathetic as well. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I hate that. Okay, now it's just dark. What the heck? So now that we have a better ground about the inhibitor chips and what they do to the clones, let's move on to the scene with 𝓚𝓪 and 𝓘𝓾𝓸𝓽𝓪. So this is 𝓚𝓪, right? My point behind this, never mind, I'll put it after. 𝓚𝓪, I believe. I'm not sure if it's actually her, but I am assuming it is, because, I mean, who else is a medical specialist like her? CT-9904's genetic mutations have altered much of his cranial activity, including his inhibitor chip, 𝓘𝓾𝓸𝓽𝓪. Yet he exhibited loyalty to the Empire and blah 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 blah. I just skipped out the rest because we don't want to hear him run his mouth. 𝓚𝓪, I believe, not sure, still. While the chip is not as active as the standard clones, the order does appear to be working. So what we do see is insight on the fact that his chip has malfunctioned due to the... hey, I'm doing a video! As I was saying, due to Crosshair's genetic mutations, that has altered the workings of his inhibitor chip. We aren't sure how or why, besides the fact that it just has to do with his genetic mutations. But what we can assume from that is that his inhibitor chip doesn't work exactly like it would with Rex and the other regs because of his genetic mutations. What we can also assume from that is that Crosshair's personality, you know, as soon as Order 66 was mentioned / given, we see him change Not completely, because you can't, it's so subtle that you believe that that's actually his real personality, but then the more that you look at it, the more you realize that he was influenced by the inhibitor chip. What we see is that he begins forcing onto Hunter that good soldiers follow orders. Why aren't you following orders after, it's been issued that the Jedi have committed treason? What that does reveal to us is that he has changed somehow, especially because Hunter and Tech both mentioned you didn't have an issue with following orders before this. My point is that Crosshair's chip malfunctioned in some way or another. And not only that, later on in the episode, we see Omega, right? And you know what she does? She walks up, when Crosshair gives her, he has like this look on his face, right? And after he had that whole argument with Hunter and his brothers, and Tech was like, you didn't have a problem with following orders before, right? What we see is him turn around, and then he does this thing where he's like doing this. I don't know how to explain it. He puts a hand to his head, and he shakes it a bit, as if he's having a headache, as if he's fighting off something that we don't know about. After that, right, once he sits down by himself in that little corner, he just puts his head in his hands, and he looks so uncomfortable that I honestly felt really bad for him. And Omega, she notices this. Her being perceptive, as Crosshair did put it, she goes and says, you're angry. Cross. How perceptive. Omega. I know what you're going to do, but please don't. Cross. What do you know? Omega. I know it's not your fault. You can't help it. What does that show us? That he's under the influence of his inhibitor chip. I'm just putting this out there, and I'm being so passionate about it because I actually do have hopes that we will get a deeper understanding of everyone's character. Because usually what I've seen Dave Filoni do, at least, especially with Ahsoka, is introduce characters as being annoying or really good, and then building on them to show character development. So I do have faith that these boys won't stay incredibly close to their stereotypes, as we've seen in season 7 in Bad Batch episodes, whatever episodes it was, the whole arc on 𝓎𝑘𝓸𝓽𝓪 Minor, and also episode 1 of this series. Moving on. When Omega puts her hand on his shoulder, we see Cross, he doesn't even react that much. He just looks at her, and then he's like, ugh. He just looks away. What that reveals to us, I don't know why I keep saying that, but he doesn't move her hand away. Why? Because he knows that she's right. He doesn't have a choice, because I believe that he didn't fully understand what was happening. Like, he knew that he wasn't thinking straight, but he didn't really know. You're conscious of it, but at the same time you're unsure, so then it just becomes like an unconscious fact that something's happening to you, but you just don't know how to put it into words. I hate how the camera isn't, because my computer is so bright. There we go. That's better. But now I can't see my screen. Not only that, but after, when the clones come and decide to take him to the med bay, for that whole procedure, Hunter, he says, oh, no, we stay together. But then his brother, the clone, goes wham, right? And then he's like doubling over in pain. What does Cross do? He assesses the situation and realizes that there's no point in fighting back. Why? Because then it would only create more issues for his brothers. The point that really does come across is that he wants to help, but he doesn't know how. And as Omega put it, it's not your fault. It's not his fault that he doesn't understand how to fix it or what to do. So, I don't know why I'm so passionate about this, but I am. But you see where I'm going with this, right? We see that Cross is so conflicted in those few moments, in the times that we do see him. And what he's trying to do is probably, at least what I hope he's doing, is attempting to fight off the influence of the chip. But he himself doesn't know what's influencing him, so he believes that they're his own thoughts. For that reason, he continues to follow orders, and he sticks to the whole good soldiers follow orders, which is quite sad. And in conclusion, oh, this is so messy. I'm so sorry, especially if you're an avid Star Wars fan. I hope that you're not offended by the way I'm speaking about this, especially since a lot of other YouTubers are way more organized than I am. Besides that, in conclusion, we do see the conflict on Crosshair's face in a lot of scenes. Not only that, but we see that that is not his true personality by what we can assume and what we can recall from previous appearances of his character.
He's gonna need help to get Cody out of there.
He's gonna get the gunship out of there, not Cody. He's gonna get the gunship out of there, not Cody.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Now I shall make a separate video about Hunter because it's been 11 minutes of me just talking about Crosshair and the whole influence of his inhibitor chip. Okay, until next time everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video to some extent, and please, if you have any more ideas or evidence, if you will, to chip in, put it in the comments. I love reading them, especially because they're interesting and they do offer more insight into what I do talk about in these videos. Till next time everyone, mata ne!